Hey there, YouTube family. Jayne Mazimba here, back with another video. And today I'm answering a question off of Instagram. And this question says, how do you deal with a partner who is not, say, for example, a saver, but a spender? So the first thing that I want to say is before we get into relationships, we must assess the financial compatibility. Okay, there are a lot of things that we're assessing. We're assessing whether we vibe on a level beyond the physical. We are assessing if we vibe physically. We are assessing if we are interested in the same things, or at least if we have complementary interests. So finances should also be an aspect that we vibe on, especially if you're looking at this relationship as something that is going to go long term, right? So I would say ask the right questions. I did a video on some 5 questions you must ask a new partner every time that you decide to get into a relationship, or even if you're already in a relationship but you're trying to assess the financial compatibility or at least get on the same page. There's a video, I'm going to link it. So you click that little I button that you see in the corner here, and it opens up to the video that I'm going to link. So watch that video before you continue with this. I feel like it sort of answers a lot of the questions. But let's say you're already in a relationship, you love this person and everything else is perfect, but the person is not a saver, as it says, but a spender. Okay, so I'm assuming that you yourself are either a saver or a money master. So you're trying to do certain things. You're trying to get to a place where you are aligning your goals as a couple. Okay, it doesn't make sense for one partner, like I am a saver, so I'm saving all our money, and then my partner is a spender, so I'm saving money and my partner is swiping the money away. It won't make sense, because it means you're pulling in different directions. So what you do here is you have the conversation. Have the conversation. You talk about everything else. You do the dirty, you do the nasty. So talk about it. Sit down and say, okay, baby, we want to do something. We want to go on a trip to Dubai when the world opens, which it has, but you want to go on a trip, or you want to buy a car as a couple, or you want to invest in something. Maybe you have a child and you want to start saving for the child. So now you have the conversation and say, okay, I understand that you like to spend. I feel more comfortable and more secure when I am saving. So how do we find middle ground? Let's put a goal. This is what we're working towards. So 1, set a goal as a couple. 2, have a conversation as a couple. I would say 3, create an allowance. Because remember, on a mental level, the saver is happy when they save. The saver is happy when they see a bank balance growing. It gives them security, gives them a sense of accomplishment. Whereas the spender is happier when they spend money. When they shop and buy things, retail therapy and all that good stuff. And there's nothing bad in each of these. You just need to recognize the strengths and weaknesses in each of these. And you can't change a person, okay? They have to want to work towards this. So they can if you set a goal, they could start working towards being the saver as well. Or maybe if you don't want them to feel deprived, have an allowance set aside. If you guys combine your finances, then have an allowance saying, this is our spending allowance, this is your individual spending allowance, and this is my individual spending allowance, and so let's spend money that way. If not, if your finances are separate, then have a common pot, okay? So every time we have income coming in, let's both contribute this much. You're contributing this much, you're contributing this much to the communal pot, and then what's left over, you spend it as you want. So that is a way that you will find a common ground, I think. It's important to realize that there is no one size fits all solution to these things. Every couple, in the same way that every individual has their own style of living and relating, even couples have their own heartbeat. So find your heartbeat as a couple. Find what works for you as a couple, and then take it from there. Okay. But the thing that I would say is have the conversation. I don't think that you can do this without having a meaningful conversation around that. Okay. I'm going to take one more question. Okay, so the questions I'm answering in this second part is, what are some of the things that I've invested in? Meanwhile, this one says, what kind of investments do you recommend? So this is the same question, I suppose. First of all, I am not going to recommend a specific investment to you. You as an individual need to decide, 1, what it is that you want to achieve. So what are your goals in life? And with those goals, what are your investment goals? Okay. What do you want to achieve in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years? And then you will decide what vehicles you will use to meet those goals. But on a personal level, what am I invested in? I will tell you, when I started off this journey, my priority was to get rid of debt. So I spent a lot of time paying down debt and making sure that I was debt free. And then when the debt reduced to where I only had debt from the bank, like structured debt that I had like a specific amount that I was paying every month, which was important to me, that's when I started looking at avenues of investing. So first I built up my emergency fund. Even before I thought about investing or growing my money, I built up a minimum amount of money. Remember, sometimes investing in 1,000 kwacha won't make sense because the return will seem too small. So I built up my fund to a place where I had a substantial amount, and then I started investing. So here are 3 things that I have invested in personally. First thing for me is I invested in stocks and bonds. I always had a goal to invest in government securities. Not stocks and bonds, in government bonds only. So I always had a goal to invest in government securities. And so I went ahead and bought my first treasury bill as an individual. And then I'm very averse to savings groups. I don't know if you've noticed this. I don't really like savings groups because I don't like the model in which they operate. So what I did is I joined an investment group. It's basically a savings group, but we invest instead. So instead of doing a share out, instead of people borrowing from the pot, we sit together as a group and decide where are we investing in the next 3 months. So I joined an investment group, and in that investment group, we have so far invested in government bonds. And we have been flirting with the idea of investing in real estate. We have been flirting with the idea of sort of like a venture capital where we start investing in other businesses. But for now, I have my treasury bills and I have my government bonds. Those are things that I've invested in. Secondly, I have invested in real estate. Okay, so I have somewhere where I have a property which I have invested in, and that brings me an income. Okay, I will share more about this later in a future video. So I have invested in a little bit of real estate. Okay, and then the third thing that I've invested in, which I'm not sure. Okay, no, it is an investment actually. I have invested in a small business. So I put away money and I invested into this business. And so it's basically retail. I go and buy things on wholesale and it's put in a shop and it resells at a higher price. So that's an investment vehicle. It's very important for me to call it an investment because I'm looking to grow it. And I'm also I don't use the money. It's not hand to mouth. So that business, I'm looking to grow it over the next 1 year. I'm looking for it to be the biggest cosmetic shop on my side of town. So I'm not reusing the money. All the profits that I make, I plow it back into that and it's growing itself. So those are my 3 investments that I can share. I do have a house that I'm building, but I am not considering it as an investment per se because this is a house that I want to move into and that I want to live in. So it will give me capital gain, but it won't really give me a return. So I'm a little bit on the fence about calling it an investment just yet. We'll see. But yeah, so those are my investments. Remember, there are other avenues that you can invest in. You can invest in life policies, hybrid policies with insurance companies. You can invest in government securities that I've talked about. You can invest in companies, in stocks, shares on the stock exchange. Those are options that are available to you to invest in. So that's my video for today. These are the questions that I had that I wanted to answer. If you have any other questions for me or things that I would like to tackle, remember to comment in the box below and I'll be sure to take them up and research them and answer them for you. Otherwise, this is from a personal perspective. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe. Remember to hit the notifications bell. Remember to like, share, and come back on Monday for another video.